and welcome to PM Express. My name is Nana Ansakwa. Now today, what we are looking at is the review. Now for 8 months, the country has sat in tenterhooks with all eyes on the Supreme Court. We had lots of political and legal rhetoric. Some we understood, some we are still wrapping our heads around. On Thursday, August 29, 2013, Ghanaians tread cautiously as the bated breath and waited for the final judgment. The judges finally sat to deliver the verdict, and after a suspense-filled 3 hours, the actual verdict took 4 minutes and 11 seconds. And it seems like an anticlimax to Ghanaians. You know, after 8 months or more, you know, we expected some pomp and pageantry, you know, a little ceremony to go with it, or even a ceremony after the judgment. But there was nothing. It was just in and out in 4 minutes and 11 seconds. For most part, though, Ghana was delivered. It was all over. We pulled through as a nation. Rumors making the news now report that there might be a review after all. Report that the MPP is considering the possibility of seeking a review at the Supreme Court. Can the nation take it? Is it necessary? What are we reviewing? How is it going to go down? Now, I'll be sharing your thoughts on these comments on social media, so keep it coming on Facebook. With me in the studio to discuss this issue is Dr. Maurice Ampao. And the now Okumia was from the MPP was supposed to join us, but he couldn't. But I've got Maurice Ampao here, so it's going to be a brilliant discussion as to the review. What else is there to review? Is that not it? Stay tuned right after the break. Hello and welcome back to the show. And today we are talking about election petition, the possible review. I mean, the number one petitioner has said, I think number one and number two have said, look, that's it. I'm not happy with the results, but I am taking it as a man. I'm going to rest, and when I come back, I'll tell you what my next plans are. However, the news circulating is that, you know, there might be a possible review. So one may ask, well, who's going to review? Because he said he's not going to go to the review. With me in the studio is Dr. Maurice Ampao, who's a lawyer, president of the Legal Advisory Foundation. My brother, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very privileged to be here.
It's been on the show enough now to qualify to be my brother.
Yes.
Look, we're going to look at the review, but you know me, I like to muddy the waters a bit. All this fight and the court case and everything was to strengthen our democracy, rule of law, civilian rule and everything. Look, if you agree with me, I think the civilian rule, and I'm going to be a bit controversial, are even more corrupt than the military rule in terms of embezzlement. I don't know, I don't have the numbers, but you know, you look at the Public Account Committee and what's going on, and you know, and subsequent, I think we even though if this is the right one, we have to be really guarded because it's an excuse to really milk the system. I'm not saying we should bring the soldiers back, but maybe they need to emulate the soldiers in how, in terms of modesty. I don't know.
It's very interesting that society has been able to find a way out this how to deal with corruption, and it keeps on being the basis and the grounds for which military takeovers normally take place in our country. And then when the military also come, they do the same thing. So we have a very difficult situation now. We need a leader who can come and stamp his authority, a leader who can lead an example, the way forward. And when we talk of a leader, we are not only looking at the political leaders, we are looking at leaders across board, so that at least we begin to fight this canker collectively than looking at the politician, but also looking at other leaders, because we have leaders who find themselves in various ministries, the civil servants who are very highly corrupt. We have corruption everywhere, and I think that where we ought to look critically is to look at those who are responsible in managing our resources. We should all rise up against any attempts to unduly take advantage of their position and lord it over us, suppress us, and then milk the resources of the nation. And you see, those who want to corrupt, they initially first take steps to corrupt you. And when they get you corrupted, then you cannot speak. So you realize that those who have normally look at those who are very, very have loud mouth, those who criticize. So you look at our society right now, you see what the politicians do. They look at you and they realize that this guy is so critical, they find ways and means out to corrupt you. They call you, they give you appointment, or they give you some largesse, and then you are quiet. And that's exactly what is happening in the system. So we have a situation whereby fighting corruption has become a difficult situation because those who are corrupt know how to corrupt the system. And they are getting it all out. Even to the extent that religious leaders have become victims. You can see some religious leaders now very, very close to government officials. Strange enough, what is happening? They are also, and then sadly in this country, we have, be honest to yourself, look at some of our religious leaders. They are not in talking terms. Everybody wants to be closer to the government of the day. And so when one government comes, you have certain clubs of religious leaders align, and then others become opposition. Very strange enough. Interesting. So I think that this issue of corruption, let's look at the political leaders and let's be careful so that they will not corrupt the system, because they have what it takes. They are so much powerful, and they can use money to corrupt the system. So I share your sentiments. It's an interesting and disturbing trend that civilian rule, constitutionalism, is not able to stop corruption. So it's a very difficult situation we find ourselves in now.
I don't know. The other thing is 8 months. The thing MPP brought, what, 36 boxes. The NDC brought probably like 5 boxes of closing statements and everything. We sat and waited for 3 hours. And all I heard was, I don't know this, and unless if they hadn't played the repeat, I would have completely missed. I didn't know what went on until the repeat came. I thought, oh, okay, the petition has been thrown out. I completely missed it, and I listened from start to finish. I just could not get what was going on. It was Bafu Bunny, this, and then boom, that was it.
Let me honest in this forum. Do you know that I was sitting at the sister station and I didn't know what was happening? And then,
you're a lawyer?
Yes, a lawyer. And then I realized that I have the duty to explain the judgment. And as it was being read by Tukuba, I could not get what was happening, because it was more very highly summarized. It was more showing the positions of the judges without giving reasons. And then the words, dismiss. It's a serious word to use. You know, they mention the name of the judges and dismiss. Yes. And you know, even in our labor issue, when they said you have been dismissed, it looks like it's better to use terminate if you terminate your appointment, but to dismiss, and then there were no reasons assigned. You know, so the whole thing was like, oh, what is happening? It's about dismissal, and then they end up by saying that the total effect is that the petition and the 8 months. And then 4 months or so of all the long hearing, the various examination chief, cross-examination, KPMG report, and all that amount to dismissal. Then some of us, I started asking myself, why can't we have this simple way of dismissing when, for example, instead of allowing full trial, you let all the parties file affidavit evidence, and the evidence, then you try. The trial is based on legal arguments, you know, illegal arguments. You know, you set the issue for legal arguments because all the evidence are already filed. So you tell the parties to come and argue on the various infractions and constitutional distinct. You set the two issues at stake, whether they were constitutional statutory violations, moral practices, and then whether it has material effect. Then you come and do legal arguments, and this thing could have taken not less than 1 month. But for us to go through this transparent way of hearing, where the ordinary person on the street became a judge, judging the Supreme Court judges, and then also having their own opinion. And people were expecting to see a judgment that would take about 1 hour, 2-3 hours, explaining, for example, let's say overvoting. You realize that the various parties, the witnesses have different definition. Listen, Asedu Ketia had a definition for overvoting. EC came with the definition of voting. Then Baumia also the definition of voting. What was the position? And we thought that this thing could be done in the open, and where everybody would see. Now we are being told to go to the registry to get a copy. How many people will have an opportunity to read? the judgment. So we denied us opportunity whilst we saw the proceedings when it came to the delivery of the judgment and the reasons, the full judgment. We were not given opportunity to hear from our own. And then also one of the reasons, you know the way the Supreme Court judges were handling the various trials. There's this human here and there. This money comes out to say something. But this time with the judgment, they kept long, and then they came and like business. No comment, no joke here and there, delivered, and then court rights. So you realize that, and then at the end of the day, the mistakes start flowing. So you realize that it was an anticlimax in terms of the delivery. In my opinion, we could have had an opportunity of coming out, taking our time to deliver the majority decision, deliver the minority decision, and then we will have the opportunity of assessing.
The other thing also, and I don't know, maybe it's not legal, but thank you for the nation for being patient for 8 months, for bearing with us and understanding court proceedings. Like a sign out a note or message. I don't know if it's not protocol.
I think that was the beauty of it that we missed also, and the Supreme Court judges actually missed that aspect. I think the sign off was if you read the judgment, the people said that, oh, thank you to KPMG. Then he thanked the councils for good work done. That's all. But what about the majority of Ghanaians who patiently watch proceedings, what the lessons we've learned, and then the way the Supreme Court accepted the authority, and then thanking everybody, the nation, the international community. I think that we could have come out to express ourselves more and to make the ordinary Ghanaians feel like, look, we've all won together. But the way we delivered the judgment was like we are in a hurry, we are annoyed. It's like we want to do it quickly and leave, and then later on we should go and get copies. How many 24 million Ghanaians can go out there and get a copy of the Supreme Court judgment? I learned the judgment is more than 900 pages. Because if you have a situation whereby if judge is going to write about 100 pages times 10, how can we be carrying this thing? Now, I think the duty will be on the lawyers and then the Ghana Bar Association and the National Civil NCC to now go for this judgment and now do evangelism. Go out there and explain it to the other Ghanaian what it means. It's not easy, and the judgment is going to be written in a legal language. So now you realize that the interpretation will be, people will be subject to different interpretation where your interest is. You read and then you put spin on it, or you try to explain to them. So I think that we will get a judgment all right, but if it's being read openly, if you take 1 hour, 2 hours, we're not in the arrest as a nation. We have 29th day, everybody was at home trying to wait, even if it's 10 hours. Then we were given this big surprise by the judges. But only God knows, and God also knows why it happened that way. Maybe if they have read it for more than 3-4 hours, people will start having BP. The stress will be high. So let's take it like that.
I have on the phone, lawyer Aikwe Otu, former Attorney General. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, PM Express. We're discussing the possibility of a review, but we started from the courtroom in delivering the verdict. Do you think the Supreme Court missed their finest moment?
Well, it is said the Supreme Court is both a political as well as a constitutional court. Mm-hmm. So we don't know. A whole lot of things could be taken into consideration by them politically as well as legally before coming out with the ruling. On my part, I had said on various platforms that I would have preferred that at least they would give, each judge will give his or her opinion on the way he sees the case, try and give reasons why he's voting either for or against the petition. And that the leaders will then take it from there and try and explain to their people why maybe there will be no need for any, review. But now you have a situation where only the decision has been given, no reasons have been given, and now you've left us to speculate. And some are even, asking logical questions. Is it the case of the Supreme Court that overvoting need not be discussed at all? that if people decide to go and vote without biometric verification, you don't have to complain. That if the presiding officers refuse to complete the bring sheet, it is no big deal. Meanwhile, for all you know, they've given reasons why they dismissed the petition. Of course, those who voted for the petition and in those categories of claims should also give us a reason why they think that the petitioners made up a very good case. So we are in a limbo because it is now that I've sent somebody to go to the Supreme Court to see whether I could get my copy, and it is 5:05. We still haven't received the reasons since Thursday, and that is causing a lot of worry and anxiety. So I could agree with you that if they had given the reasons there and then, it would have saved the situation.
But I'll go back to the there was not even a closing sort of summary note. I mean, I remember when Sir John was being reprimanded, the judge told him that even on Sundays when I'm walking to church, people come to me and ask, is it safe? So there was question about safety and unity and the fact that we shouldn't fight. So I just rang, after 4 minutes delivery and walking away. That's why again I said, did he miss his finest moments and at least just giving a one-page speech to say stay together? It wasn't as bad as it was. I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, why is Nanado having problems for having said that he would not seek a review? Why is it being said that the National Council that took the decision in the first place to go to court is now saying that they're setting up a 3-member committee to look at the matter and give them their opinion? Because after all, they set up the committee. They took the decision to go to court in the first place. But if they had given the reasons, and then we've all listened to the reasons, and then Nana says, I'm not going to seek a review. Do you think that we would have gone through all this, hullabaloo of complaints about whether he spoke too early, whether he should have waited for the reasons and all that? Do you think we would have reached there? It's most unfortunate. But I don't know what happened that day. Because we went to court as early as about 9:30. Mm-hmm. The streets were all empty, with the police and all the army and whatnot. And so we went and sat in court from 9:30. It was not until about 1:45 that they came out. And by having called the case and made the entries, by 1 o'clock or so they started reading, and within a very short time they said they are finished. Everybody was taken by surprise, and it could have been a missed opportunity. I think I agree with you.
Nanado's decision not to take a review, he's been commended, all over for accepting it immediately to bring peace, to ease down tensions. But beyond that, I mean, is the party in agreement with Nanado, or fine, you don't want to review, go, but the party will follow? The party will go ahead and seek for a review.
Well, you see, I'm saying that the embarrassing situation we find ourselves in now is that the council is saying that we took the decision at Alisa to go to court. At the end of the day, you should come back and tell us the results. Now, the results, as far as we are concerned, is that we don't have the reasons. So let us apply for the reasons, study the reasons, and then we take the next step, which is whether to take a review or not to seek a review. Unfortunately, we did not have that comfort. And then Nanado comes out to say, well, I'm not going to seek a review. I don't know. I was not at the meeting, but we are being told that he apologized for having spoken early and all that. Whether it is true or not, I don't know. But I'm saying that the Supreme Court could have helped matters if they had given their judgment and their reasons there and then. Because what he read is what happens all the time when anybody goes to the Supreme Court for judgment. All the judges will read their individual opinions. At the end of the day, the person presiding or the president of that panel will say, well, this is the judgment of the court. And then he will read by majority of so and so, the petition is dismissed. You understand? So that one will come. But it is only after we've heard heard all the reasons. In this case, no reasons were assigned. No reasons were assigned. Yet,
hold on for me.
We appear to have had a judgment.
I have with me in the studio Dr. Maurice Ampa, who's also a lawyer. Doctor, you see, Nana Addo's decision to immediately accept and back off. Most institutions have come to say, congratulations, you did a good thing and everything. Weighing the two, can he back off and then the party continue, or he should have waited? Because then I think there will be too much suspense. The stakes were too high.
I think, let me tell you before God and man, if you're in the shoes of Nana, Nana was highly shocked, highly disappointed, surprised about the judgment. So at that moment, it was like, look, I'm tired. I've been stretched. I've been given a raw deal. Now, either I come out to say that I'm okay, I'll not go for a review, or go back, sit down, for people who start polluting me. It's like when you go back and sit down now, all sort of things will come to your head. And then when people begin to speak in a certain way, then you begin to have more bitterness, more pain, and if you don't take care, you cannot come out to address the nation. Or if you are going to address the nation, you may cause a lot of difficult situation for the country to hold. So Nana, at that moment, you understand, have to come out to say that, look, I've also pledged to civil society and the nation at large that, look, when the verdict comes, I will accept. So in order to fulfill his promise, he decided to go out there to accept the verdict. But I think that on the whole, he has been hailed as a statesman, and I think the International Committee, his status has gone up. But I think that does not prevent the party, the petitioners, from getting copies of the individual judgment.
Did he mean his statement, or did he just, let me just read it for the good of it?
No, he meant it. He meant it. You could see that it was something coming from his heart. Highly disappointed, but I have to say it in order to calm the tension. Now, I think that what is going to happen is quite simple. Nana doesn't represent MPP in the court. He went there as on his individual capacity. Now, the MPP is not a party to the suit. So it will be very difficult under the recent decision of the Supreme Court, where Bernard Monad went to court and then won his case against review, and then I think Ramadan went and the court said that you didn't have capacity. So it's very difficult for MPP, a party, to go to court to ask for review. But what can happen is that we have 3 petitioners, everybody standing on his own. So if Nana says that I will not go, it cannot stop Jacob Chamti. So what the party can do is to allow Nana that peace of mind. He is the one who went to court. He is the one. There's so much pressure on him. So Nana, go and sit down. Now let's look at the judgment, and when we think that review will help, then Jake can go.
Let me speak to lawyer. Are you going to?
Yes.
We have Jake. Jake hasn't said he doesn't want a review, so the party can say, well, you can go and have your rest, have your break. You've fought hard enough. We're going to pursue the review and the concession or the conceding statement. Was it sincere enough? Do you think it was sincere enough?
I am saying that this embarrassing situation would have been avoided if the judges had given their reasons. Mm-hmm. It is a very, very embarrassing situation because Ghana has already spoken. As my friend there says, he is the petitioner. We all knew that it was MPP that went to court, except that the Constitution says only citizens of Ghana must file the petition. This is why we were compelled to use the names of the flag bearer, the vice, and then the chairman of the party. But they were just not ordinary people names that we were using.
So in this case, can the chairman pursue the case? The chairman of the party?
Well, I'm saying that it is embarrassing in the sense that, you see, at the time he was speaking, remember that the two of them were standing side by side with him.
Yeah.
But the party is saying that it was not Nana who took the decision to go to court. It was the party. So the party must take the final decision on the matter and not Nana.
I agree. I agree. I agree. But, what he says is not law, is it? What Nanado says is not law. I've changed my mind. If the decisions. I think he's giving directions to somebody.
Yeah.
But let me start with you.
You see, I'm saying that Nana will not change his mind, because you see, he need to be taken by his word. His integrity is at stake now, within a short moment. But what will happen is that when the party takes the hold of the judgment and they read and they realize that, look, this is a judgment that a review can apply, then I'm saying that they can use the second petitioner or the third petitioner and leave Nana alone.
In that case, what do you do? Say Nana will front the case, come, or do you have to find a new president?
No, Nana will be there, but Jake will pursue the matter as one of the petitioners who want a review, and he will have a legal capacity to do so.
Well, I think there's an opening there, Mr. Ikwotu.
Program. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sorry, Dr. Morizampa was saying that, Jake can go apply for the review, and then, if the case overturns, you come back and tell Nana and Bawumialo, go and take your positions, and next time, don't speak too quick.
I'm sorry, it is embarrassing, because at the time Nana Akufo-Addo was making that statement that he's not going to seek a review, didn't we see on television Bawumia and Jake Kubete standing side by side with him?
Yeah, but if the stakes are high here, and what he said wasn't law, is it?
Well, I'm saying that it's very embarrassing, because the party is saying that we took the decision indeed to go to court. So bring us the evidence. Let us satisfy ourselves why it could not be done. Of course, I mean, let's put it the way we always say, that it's only a madman who cannot change his mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if, for example, the 6-3, the overvoting that took place in the Supreme Court itself, where one judge was alleged to have voted in 2 categories, which was corrected later on, which was corrected later on. That itself could be very, very demoralizing, because that gave the result of 6-3.
Yes.
That gave the result of 6-3. You understand? Now, with only one judge, the mistake of one judge being corrected, the number reduces to 5-4.
Yeah.
And these are the critical areas: overvoting, voting without biometric verification, and no signature of presiding officer. These are the 3 critical areas. As for the first 3, they were dismissed 9-0 unanimously.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the party itself laid so much weight there. But these were the areas that the party laid a lot of emphasis. You see? So if he had known, for example, that it was 5-4, do you think he would have spoken early? Because I think it was the area of overvoting, where we have a lot of, votes that we are seeking to annul.
Because so technically this gives a chance, because if you review and you bring 2 more judges on,
it can obtain the results. So I agree with my senior equal to, because he said that maybe Nana was misled by the reading of the judgment, where one judge twice, one judge said that I dismiss the claim of voting without by verification, and then at the same time I granted it. So if Nana knew that it was an error, he could have said that, okay, now it is almost 5-4, and with 5-4, when you increase the number of the judges to 11, then the 2 can come and agree with the minority, and the decision, the whole decision will change. So I think that what my senior Aikutu is saying is it makes sense that Nana should have, but given the situation that Nana find himself in, I think that the best thing is to do the honorable thing. But I think I still stand by my position that Jake, being one of the petitioners, can decide to go. After all, he stood by, but that doesn't mean that he agreed on what Nana was saying. So he, as a statesman and a sportsman, he went and then gave that moral support to Nana. But now when the party is now calling for Nana, look, Nana, wait, it's too early to go and concede. it's too early to say that you can concede, but it's too early to say that you will not seek review. Let's have the opportunity of getting the judgment, and then let's look at the permutations and let's look at the reasons given by the majority and the reason given by the minority. And if we think that the review can apply, why don't you go and try review? Because maybe the 2 justices that will come and you add to the 9 can change, can go and support the minority, and then the decision will be 6-5.
Okay, we're going to go for a quick break and come back, because what most people are saying, people say, oh no, they're not going to take us through this again. We are fed up. Just go and gather as a party, MPP, find a, put yourselves together and come back 2016. It's only around the corner. Let the tensions calm down. Now the tensions can calm down. We'll come back and talk to the lawyers and see if those positions are right. Hello, welcome back to the show, PM Express, and we're looking at election the petition and the possible review. With me on the phone is lawyer Ayikwe Otu, and who is a former Attorney General, and with me in the studio is Dr. Morizampa, also a lawyer, president of the Legal
Advocacy Foundation.
And this is what some of you guys are saying out there, that some just says Derek Nimedi is asking why a review. Adon Frimpong Samuel says, I think it's not good to seek a review, but rather prepare the party for the next election. Abwaji Williamson Degraft says, he says, I second it because the judgment was just not right. He's just not happy with the judgment he got. Why wouldn't these politicians let sleeping dogs lie? Is this what would put food on the ordinary Ghanaian's table? Why would they do such a thing? We beseech them and make peace bestow on us to continue, so that we continue to reign in Ghana. Some citizens, as soon as you say review, we panic, because this 8 months has been tense. I mean, look at that military, artillery, launching of the helicopter pad, and guns and grenades, and it's not Ghana. We're more used to laid back, chill, the old, guy directing his traffic light, and that's our military, But this time there was army out in force, all because of the court case. So after 8 months, you come back and say, well, we're going to try our luck again. So everybody's saying, no, forget it. We don't want that scene. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think I share with the opinion of the honorary Ghanaian who wanted us to move forward as a nation. But you cannot take away the rights of a party who feel aggrieved by the decision of the court under Article 133 of the Constitution to go for review. And I think the review will not bring a lot of tension in the country. It's a matter of just making an application. There will not be a full trial. It's more on the legal grounds. Go there and show why you think that the judgment was wrong in terms of law or constitutional provisions, or whether you have certain information that you could not give to the judge at that time. So it will not take a longer period. There will not be too much tension. I can tell you, even you don't take care, there will not be even live telecast of the review. You see, because the judges will just deal with it summary and then look at its legal argument. You have a review under Benoni. When he went for amicus curiae application, it was thrown out. Then he came back for a review, and then within 10 minutes or 20 minutes, they dealt with it. So I'm sure that if there is, and I'm praying that the review will not come as of now, at least we will go and test the law. It will not take more. I don't see people even going to the Supreme Court premises, because I don't see the need where we should go for live telecast, because the main case, the full trial and hearing, have ended. So application is more of legal argument. So you don't really need the lawyers. You don't even need the parties to be there. The lawyers can go there and then make the argument of a review. So I don't think it will bring a lot of tension. But at the end of the day, what we want is that Ghana must move forward. As a nation, I'm surprised that after the verdict, the reasons have not yet come. But I think that the call by the two leaders, most important personalities in Ghana, the president and the Nado, based on their desire to get political power, have shown the way that, look, let's move forward. Nanado says that let's support the president and then move the nation forward. But they say that let's everybody comes on board. Now we have party faithfuls and commentators and people who think that still they have issues
Let me get you to in here. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
After, let me deal with this one, then we go back. Which is, the Gbeshi spirit is still in some of the communicators. They still haven't been exorcised with the Gbeshi spirit. There are still hints of the Gbeshi spirit. There are still communicators who are dropping hints which are not favorable.
Well, the word is Beshi. Beshi is not Beshi.
Here, Beshi.
Translator is Beshi. And I'm told that it has a twin brother called Alale. I think on some occasions it's the Beshi that possessed, and other occasions the Alale. And from they go and see those who wash faces, the better it will be for all of us. Because they've gone back to their old ways. And, the airways are not being sanitized once again. But I have been saying that to some extent, I think that the journalists also have a role to play. You see, when sometimes we ask questions which are likely to inflame passion, and you invite the people to come and discuss particular issues, but then unknown to them, you draw them into areas which are likely to lead to controversy, and unknown to them, they also fall prey to it, and now you get all this bantering left and right. For example, I do not think that Chichi Kata went to the studio to TV3 to go and talk about Justice Emin Yeboah. But in the course of the discussion, it was put to him whether the political coloration of judges may have something to do with their judgments. And before we could say that, he had veered off while he was in the studio and started talking about the things he wanted to talk about, wholly irresponsible, most unfortunate for a very senior judge to be a senior lawyer to engage in that kind of politics. So sometimes I say that I appeal to you people also. Do not, always believe that it is only when a man bites a dog that it is news. So we should veer away from those things and see about trying to, build our country in a very positive light.
In building the country, its rule of law, when Nanadu conceded, it was 6-3. Now we realize it's 5-4. That's the basis for him to say that, listen, I considered thinking it was 6-3, but now that the margins are closer, I think I'll consider my options.
That's why I keep on saying that it's a very embarrassing situation. When the man spoke, he had thumbs up. The whole world, hailed him. You understand?
Yes.
All the bodies that matter, said he had behaved like a statesman. And a statesman is somebody who doesn't look at it in issues from the parochial point of view, what it would do to him or what it would do to his party, but he is looking at the nation. And when he called upon his people, to rally behind the president, to congratulate him as he has done, and to work with him, how do you now turn around to say that I no longer accept this verdict and that now, I'm going to take a review? It's very, very embarrassing. But I am not putting the blame at his doorstep. I am saying that if the judges had given their judgment, the reasons of the first day, all these things would not have happened.
So what will be the decision of the party now? Gather round and come in full force for 2016?
It's coming.
Have I got you, Mr. Ikotu?
Yes, sir.
I said, what will be the party's position now? Gather round in full force and come for 2016?
Well, you let us get the reasons for the judgment. Let's get the reasons for the judgment, and then we can advise appropriately.
Dr. Ampa,
we'll take all things into consideration. We'll also be doing both the political, legal, and the constitutional matters as well. We'll take everything into consideration, giving our recommendation.
Okay, if I come to the studio, so are they holding the nation to ransom in one way or the other?
Who are you talking about?
The Supreme Court or the judges that haven't brought these reasons out.
No. They are not holding the nation at ransom. They have made their decision clear. All that is now left is administrative procedure. They have handed over their individual ruling to the registrar.
The individual ruling, logically, is very, very unclear. You know, the nation spends, millions of money to buy a machine to make sure that it's you, Laurent Powell, that votes. And indeed, I had your senior colleague, Sam Okujeto, lawyer, here. And I said, as a traditional ruler, as a chief of my village, if I came and decided not to use the biometric, everybody knows it's me. There's no chieftaincy dispute in Edumasan, so let me vote. He says, no, Nana, it is shall. Shall. The word there is shall. So you cannot bypass that machine. Whether you own the town, it's yours. So if indeed after the case, it comes out to say, well, it's no more shall, and the reasons haven't come, I think it's a bit dicey. No,
you see, as I to be fair to the justices to comment on their ruling, all that they've done is to give a summary. Now, when we have a copy of the ruling, and that is administrative, because what is happening is that they've given their individual ruling to the registrar. I think either they will type it, or after typing it, they will send it to the judges individually to read through and dot their I's and cross the T's and make sure that everything grammatically, spelling mistakes are corrected. You don't want to see what we didn't witness on the day when on the quorum there was a mistake on the quorum and then a mistake on the judgment, the opinion, the ruling, summary ruling that day. So they want to make sure that this time when the individual judgment goes out there will not be any error. Now, when that is what is taking a longer period, because it involves more pages. We have every judge writing his own judgment and giving reasons, so it can take about 900 pages to finish. So now, administrative wise, when we get all the individual judgments, then we begin to read and find out what are the reasons for example, when there is a clear constitutional violation that a presiding officer shall sign. And failure to sign, that the Supreme Court must give us reasons why they thought that failure to sign is not fatal. They must give reasons. Because me personally, as a lawyer, I think that Supreme Court judges have a duty to protect the Constitution, to enforce it, to ensure that nobody violates it. So now, if there are clear violations, and I'm speaking on authority, that there were clear violations because Afarijan admitted that 905 presiding officers did not sign. Yeah. You see the thing? So with that admission, we want to see how the majority were able to dismiss the non-signing of the sheets and the reasons they will give. That will be a precedent for us to follow in 2016. So once we don't have the luxury of having these judgments, we cannot make any prejudicial statement. We cannot make any statements also to be unfair to the judges. So let's have it and then begin to interrogate the judgments.
No, you see, as a layman, street man, to me it is so clear. It becomes very confusing. Like you put it, the Constitution says that sign it. The last place I expect them to say don't sign it is the Supreme Court. I expect the assemblyman or somebody around the corner to say, oh, it doesn't matter, let's let it pass. But when it goes to the same people who protect the Constitution, they live because of the Constitution, saying that it's nothing. Let me get Mr. Ikotu, are you back with me? Hello? Hello, Mr. Ikotu?
Yes, sir.
Very good. I speak as a layman, with no law background. And I was asking Maurice if the Supreme Court were holding the nation to ransom because, we spent lots of money to get these biometric machines to avoid vote, fraud. And I had Sam Okujeto, senior lawyer, in the studio. And I argued with him that, if as a traditional ruler in my town, I come to vote and clearly everybody knows I'm the chief of the village and that I don't want to use the biometric, they should let me use it because I am me. And he said, no, the law says that everyone shall and that I'm not exempted. So if the final ruling comes and it seems at the moment that it's not shall anymore, I think for us, I'm being held to ransom as to, when do I get to know if this biometric is important or not important?
And that is exactly and precisely why the National Council of the party is asking that we study the judgment because the reasons are contained in that judgment. For now, whatever you say amounts to speculation, isn't it? We don't know whether that was what they said or not. Perhaps all they said was that we did not provide sufficient evidence. We did not provide sufficient evidence. But if that is not what they said, and they are going the way you are going, then we'll be better able to discuss the issues. So it seems to me that for now, we cannot, condemn or pass judgment until we have read the full text.
Due to the sensitive nature of this case, where people were even thrown in jail 3 days, 10 days for even commenting about it, should they have waited for their report to be ready? Look, give us another week so that as soon as we pass the judgment, go and pick your report and read it, because it's only going to be 4 minutes, so that the rest you go and read it.
I'm saying to you that it is when you push these ideas, then somebody makes a mistake and goes to say something, then that becomes the center stage of the whole argument. For now, we don't know what the reasons are. They said they will give us the reasons. Let's go and collect the reasons. Once we get the reasons, we'll be better able to have an informed decision. But for now, I don't want to know what might have led them to do what they did. I'm saying that they also do politics at the same time, do law. And therefore, they might have weighed whatever they weighed in coming to that conclusion. I am not in their head. I will not want to condemn them. I'm saying that it has led to some, embarrassing situations for everybody. Now, Nana Akufo-Addo has said something, and the party appears to be saying something different. If we had had the reasons, we would not have reached where we are now. That is what I'd like to say for now, instead of trying to maybe condemn or say things which would be controversial. I want to avoid that. And you know that contempt of court after a judgment has been given is what we call scandalizing the court. And therefore, if you don't use temperate language in looking at what has taken place, in discussing the judgment, which other people call verdict, you may be dragged into court for contempt of court.
Thank you.
Remember that the Mensah case was not it did not comment on a life issue. It was after a judgment that they called the judge a liar, and that was what landed him to one month imprisonment.
Mr. Ago, thank you very much for that and for the advice. So we need to be careful with our language, so we don't land ourselves in court.
Well, I think we are doing fantastically well. We are not being personal. We are not personalizing issues. We are not attacking any judge. We are not insulting. We are interrogating issues. So we are on the right path, and I think kudos. The questions are appropriate and the answers are appropriate. What is more important is that the judges, as you rightly said, have given a room for people to speculate. As of now, people are speculating what kind of reasons. And rightly so, if they have voted, and then make sure that the copies of the judgment, they are very ready before even pronouncing the summary judgment. It would have been better. But now what we have is that the main judgment is already, but the summary has come, and people are now speculating and trying to find out why this and the reasons, and it's creating a lot of difficulty for us now.
I think the judgment, the elaborate judgment will be our closing chapter.
No, it will create a lot of tense moment, because see, when you have the judgment now released, everybody is going to read and give different interpretation. Because now it was not read openly in court. So now you are going to read and then you put your own interpretation on it. So the layman, the legal brain, and the capital, and then the account version. Can you imagine those who read those who read and use it account? How they would twist them? You see, very interesting. So it's going to be an interesting moment to wait to hear the account version of the judgment.
I want to hear Sir John's version back to General Mosquito's version.
Yes.
That would be just beautiful. On the same page. See how they read and how they understood it. But thank you very much, Maurice, for joining us on the show. As PM Express, we're looking at the possibility of a review. Apparently, it's not a big deal. We can just sail through it and nothing will happen. But the funny thing is, or the serious thing is, Nanado's already said, look, I don't want to go through it. The party is saying, you spoke too soon. We might have wanted to go after the judges have given the reasons why they gave those rulings. But all in all, Ghana still stands. My name is Nana Sakwa. You're watching PM Express. Tomorrow, we'll be back to do it all over again.